Hello everyone, Jonathan Casey here with Mercury's Messenger Astrology. So today I want to talk about the rabbit hole, okay, the matrix, that kind of stuff, glitches in the matrix, and and whatnot. Um, I'm just throwing this video together here. I don't really have it scripted or anything, so hopefully I cover what I am hoping to. So last winter, I went down a rabbit hole, so to say. Okay, let me start with this here. A rabbit hole on farm leads to mysterious network of Knights Templar caves. Okay, so um, I find this symbolic. Okay, like there's no coincidences, synchronicity, that kind of stuff. Rabbit hole. Okay, um, keyword on a farm. So someone to me and the Knights of the Templar, like the Illuminated. Okay, now don't think about this in the physical text. Think about this as um, metaphorically. Okay, so the farm, someone who tends their garden, who cares for um, their their lands, their environment, who's uh, aiming to grow, right? And they head down a rabbit hole that brings them to be illuminated. Okay, that's what concept I'm trying to put with this video. Okay, so here's a scene from The Matrix where he gets introduced basically to the Matrix. Follow the white rabbit, right? Is what that says, and then there's a knock at the door. He answers the door,
Who is it?
and the girl or some has a. I haven't watched this, but I'm going off memory. I believe she has a white rabbit tail or something. Somehow, oh, the rabbit tattoo on the shoulder. Why wasn't it showing the tattoo there? Okay, so there's the white rabbit tattoo. Okay, so this is short form of what I'm trying to say, but it's not going to be that obvious. What I'm getting at is to have that open mind when coincidences seem to line up in synchronicity. That a type of breadcrumbs leads you down the rabbit hole. Let's even say Easter eggs. Easter eggs, because how it happened for me, anyways, is it led me to Easter uh, last year, and then shortly after Easter, Saturn went retrograde on the 30th of April or the 1st of May. May 1st, pagan holiday, which celebrates, um, it's Beltane, and celebrates, I think, the deity Bel, who, in other words, Bel is Saturn, as far as I've heard. Um, I don't I don't see where it says this here, but the last time I googled this, I got a different search, maybe. I didn't have to click on that. Where did I see that? Oh, that's interesting. Here it's saying it's a springtime festival of optimism, which I had the exact opposite experience. Um, and I feel like so there was both. I kind of went through both at that time. I went through optimism, and then I went through uh, crazy fear. Okay, because what happened to me, Dave Chappelle says it best in the Bird Revelations when he's talking about um, what's his name, Iceberg Slim, a pimp who the pimp basically sends his top prostitute, which the term is bottom bitch, um, who she was at the end of what's the term there, um, mileage on a hoe, I think they called that. She was at the basically the end of her ability to do this kind of work before she'd lose it. Uh, and Iceberg Slim couldn't afford to let her go, so he tricked her by giving her a task saying to put some pills in a guy's drink and bring him back a briefcase, and then she'd be done. So she goes, puts the pills in the guy's drink, comes back, and is like, "Oh my God, the guy's dead." Um, and it was all just a play. The guy, it was his briefcase to begin with. The guy who uh, she gave the pills to was a friend of his, um, but she basically thought she murdered this guy, therefore was terrified. Um, Iceberg Slim said he'll take care of it, but she'll owe him, and therefore she stayed around for another while. And I feel like this kind of trick has been played on me in a sense. However, also feel like um, this video here of the Truman Show deleted scenes where Jim Carrey starts growing suspicious that he's living in some kind of um, bubble, like a world that's not real, that's set up, kind of deal. Okay, and and so I'm kind of entertaining that idea. I've had some weird dreams, as if um, in my dreams what was happening was real, and I was waking back up to this illusion that we're living in. And I feel like there's glitches in our matrix, because this is, I feel like this matrix is a spiritual place of choice. And here is a picture I took at the grocery store. Here, let's go down a little bit more. Okay, Corona beer, all set up at this time, which, you know, and this was set up uh, like 2 weeks ago, at least, if not more. When the whole Corona thing started, this was set up. And what does it say right there? Outside we live. Okay, I feel like there's glitches in the system that is telling us the truth right in plain sight. Um, and I've spoken about all this in a past video, talking even about, let's bring that picture up. Tom Hanks and his son, right? Come on. My computer is old and I think full of viruses, or at least cookies and malware and whatever that really slows down um, my speed. But nonetheless, I feel I'm plenty happy with it. I don't need no 5G, that's for sure. See, now I only clicked on it once or twice, and look at how many fucking windows opened up. This is ridiculous. Okay, let's go down. Is it right here? This has to be one of them, anyways. Oh, I don't think that's the one I'm going for. This is probably the Tom Hanks picture on Simpsons. Yeah. Okay. Um, I'll get to that. The one that I wanted to put out there is this one. Okay, so in plain view, we have the all-seeing eye in the pyramid. We have the sun and the infinity logo. I wish I could read what's going on there, but and we have Jesus or a saint, anyhow, on his other arm. Um, and anyhow, so the code, okay, for the illuminated is they're not that worried about it. I don't think it's anything to be too worried about, okay? So this is to the awakened, the message. So everyone else is freaking out, but there's this message right here to stay calm. If you're awake, you'll pick it up. Those who aren't calm might just who aren't fully awake might just look at this and run with the idea that Tom Hanks is a pedophile or something along the lines, and he's part of this conspiracy, as the Simpsons show says. His quote from the Simpsons episode. Now, I don't really have the answer to that. Maybe he is a corrupted being. But a concept that I am kind of going with right now is the planets, okay? Plan ETs. Once known as the gods, are referred to as the gods. The planets at one time were referred to as the gods, who I'm feeling are the extraterrestrials that plan what happens here on Earth. We see them as these planets. However, to me, everything is conscious. These are conscious beings omitting frequencies, and that frequency is anyhow. Then there has also been the term the Watchers, which may be the Titans. I feel are like the elves or the dwarves that arrange everything in our matrix. Because what happened to me last year, I feel I saw these fallen angels, I'm even going to use, it was, I feel like, you know, as I was saying, I feel like maybe I'm not here and I am somewhere else and I'm under some kind of hypnosis, or I don't know. I've been having a hard time digesting my experience last year, um, because the experience seemed like, I believe I have a son. I'm I've been, mostly positive of this my for years, um, and I chose to believe that the truth will come out. I chose to not use a patriarchal kind of force and go after, um, like try to reunite with him, but allow it to happen. I've heard many gurus talking about just allowing things to unfold. And so that's what I was trying to go with. At the same time, I feel like that may have been wrong, and that uh, some divine masculine energy may have been required in believing in myself and going after what I believe. However, I feel like a little bit of both was true, because the timing of it, I feel like the rabbit hole led me to the doorway, and I chose not to step through that doorway in a sense of fear, because the way that it came out, the way that I felt like I was under some kind of mind control, that harp, um, that I was under some kind of harp attack. And in Ontario here, there's something called Amber Alerts, where every phone kind of goes off with an alert when, for example, a child gets abducted. What came to mind when I went through my experience, um, was exactly that. Because a voice came to me on the night that Saturn went retrograde, exactly at 3:33 a.m. I woke up to my heartbeat pounding louder than anything and hearing a voice saying, "I'm coming for him." Right away, I got up and burnt any evidence of having a son, because I really felt I was under some kind of uh, psychic attack of sorts. Um, that that there was an entity or something trying to um, program me into doing something that I would have, that is unheard of, unthought of. It's not something that I would even consider. Um, and it didn't really stop there, but uh, ever since that happened, um, there were other things that happened to me last year. Months later, in the moon phase where Saturn went direct, I believe I saw a murder that was covered up by CSIS, Canadian um, Special Intelligence Services, equivalent to the CIA. And I just kind of felt like there is some kind of government, alien, reptilian, uh, maybe even pedophile connection. I feel like I'm way off track on the message that I am trying to omit in this video. Um, really want to. I really want that portal to open up again for me. Um, However, as I was saying about the uh, Dave Chappelle Iceberg Slim, I feel like an illusion uh, was put in front of me, which chose me to fear and um, continue being in this obedient in the, to continue staying trapped in the matrix, basically, to not wake up. um, and I feel like once we do wake up, we're still in the same world. We become the alchemist. um, we end up awake in a world where where Hacksaw Ridge, that movie, where he refuses to carry a weapon and saves all the people, almost like a divine power was protecting him because his heart was in the right place and he believed so much about saving lives rather than taking them, that um, he shared the same reality. However, he had the gift of the alchemist. He had control of his own experience rather than the experience controlling him. And I feel like where I've been for a while now, confused on what happened. I feel like I was in a state of fear and self doubt. I stopped believing in myself when I rejected stepping through the rabbit hole and reuniting with my son. Um, my fear at the time was that somehow my mind can be altered by an outside presence, which made me fear these actions that I had no intentions of ever committing. Um, and that made me walk away from the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me as well, I feel. And so by choosing fear in that moment, I chose to continue allowing the external world to control my reality rather than um, being at the helm of my own creation, I guess you could say. So, I don't know. I would put myself out there. I feel like I'm becoming not. I'm shedding my fears of presenting myself as an insane individual. Um, I'm convinced that I'm I feel like what I'm talking about sure does sound crazy, uh, and I feel like I'm still rooted in reality by knowing that. However, I feel like um, by admitting it, by talking about it, by not being afraid of it, um, that there is an element of sanity, maybe even genius. Um, Hopefully, I'm not inflating my ego or something there, patting myself on the back with nonsense. But yeah, I feel like right now, you know, there's all kinds of stuff on how terrifying this virus is, how long it can last, um, how the economy is collapsing, and anything to make us afraid right now, I think is happening, and that's the trick of keeping us uh, locked in. I feel like hope, you know, finding love in this situation, speaking the truth, you know, um, respecting other people's beliefs, I guess, too. Because if you're not, I feel like, because in a way, I'm a little bit upset with my folks. Uh, for I just feel somewhat abandoned by them. I feel like uh, they they don't believe in me. You know, they're there for me, but they don't believe in me, and it just kind of makes me feel really alone. And even though um, I've made a video a little over a year ago. It was January 5th, 2019, that I did this video uh, saying that this year a, a 9/11 type of event would happen. Basically, a government orchestrated event would happen to erode away our freedoms. Now, when I say government, I'm talking about possibly um, that connection uh, between the Watchers and our government, and how they um, keep us locked into this matrix unless we uh, are elevate ourselves to be uh, to wake up out of this. And the matrix is well guarded to keep us locked in unless we are spiritually ready, you know. And I feel like I'm far from that. I have a lot of anger um, as I'm turning 43, and I feel like I've missed my life. I feel like none of my dreams have come true. Um, and really, all my dream really has been is to find someone to share this life with, find someone to dream with. I feel like I've had an inability to dream um, on my own, because I feel like what I'm dreaming of is to share this life with someone. And maybe I'm just supposed to share it with everyone. Uh, However, you know, going years without being having any affection, having any love in your life, um, is really hard on the emotions, hard on the mind. There's not much support, not much encouragement. It all has to come from self, and it's difficult to continue always having uh, to be the one picking yourself up and dusting yourself off. You know, um, sometimes you just want to do like a trust fall and have someone there to catch you. You know, and that's kind of what I dream about. Um, to just have some support, some love in my life. Um, maybe maybe I unconsciously reject that. I don't know, but anyhow, this is my video. Um, May 14th, I feel like some restrictions will be pulled back. Tomorrow, actually, we have the Pluto Jupiter conjunction. I've talked about that. There's three conjunctions this year. Um, After Pluto and Saturn conjunct in January, I I don't remember if I did this video prior or after that conjunction, but I talk about how um, that conjunction I feel will largely manifest after will largely manifest its results when Jupiter and Saturn meet, but that Jupiter makes an aspect, makes a conjunction to Pluto three times this year, and those three conjunctions are the transformation. So Saturn and Pluto uh, was like, okay, the structure's about to transform. Jupiter and Pluto is going to expand that transformation uh, on its three conjunctions, and then when Jupiter and Saturn meet in the fall, will reap the results. Will expand the limits of will create the limits on the transformative work that we've been doing over these Pluto Jupiter conjunctions. But yeah, May the 14th, Saturn and Jupiter both are station retrograde, as well as Venus. Jupiter being in Saturn's sign. I did a video about this, but I'm going to repeat it again. Um, so Saturn retrograde, Saturn's our restrictions are being pulled back in retrograde, right? Jupiter in the sign of Capricorn, who's expanding Saturn's restrictions, is also pulling back. So, so those expansions aren't going to continue. Uh, it's no longer expanding; it's starting to retract. Um, Venus being in Gemini, Venus being about value and desire, uh, in Gemini of duality, of living versus surviving kind of deal. So uh, what we've come to there is now also starting to kind of come back for review. And Mars, who is in the sign of Aquarius, Aquarius being the people, and Mars is like action on the people, is now in the sign of Pisces. So Mars is now moving forward with our visions, what we've envisioned, um, what our options basically are, and what picture we've created that we can move forward within the options that we have. So I feel like, it's not going to be a normal summer, but hopefully, you know, we're going to be able to start going back to places that are currently off limits. I really hope so, because I have a camp which I'm not. Everything I own almost is at that camp, and mostly my sense of comfort is there. And I kind of feel trapped in a prison right here. Like, it's all concrete walls. There's a hot water tank and a oil tank right here, and there's no windows in this room. So I really hope that that's what's ahead, and that's what I'm going to focus on is hope. I'm going to focus on the astrology rather than all these projections, because I feel these projections are traps, mind traps, to keep us locked in. So thanks very much for watching. I'm no longer doing those daily videos because my heart wasn't behind it, but I do plan on getting back into doing videos that my heart is more behind, like this. So it's partially astrology, mostly theoretical. Hope it helps, and thanks for watching. See you guys all soon. Bye for now.